Oh, yeah, I'm extra clammy. Happy Tuesday, everyone. It's another in-studio night here without a live audience. So if you don't hear any laughter at home, just pretend I'm Colbert. I kid, Steve. Not really. But everything is about precautions these days. You can't ever be too safe. One mask, sure. Two masks, why not? And while you're at it, put a coffee filter over your ass. Especially if you're Eric Swalwell. Guy likes to fart. Doesn't hide it. I respect that. Of course, while the legacy media gives you grief, even if you register mild hesitancy over a vaccine mandate, they still ignore some of the essential truths about health. That in a world where you can't trust the media or the government, you can still trust yourself. You can control your own risk factors. And that's the good news about the pandemic. That the leading comorbidity that influences severity of disease is one you can beat, and that's obesity. The bad news is you're living in a country where you can get a cheesesteak out of a vending machine, where your average Exxon station has more food than North and South Korea combined. There's a Sunoco station near my apartment that received 4 stars from Zagat. So it's really not our fault that we're fat. We're just awesome at making great food, and we can't stop eating it, and that makes COVID worse. We knew that, but in the media, no one ever wanted to say that. This is the media who regularly scolds you, like your 58-year-old single aunt who has the same haircut as Newt Gingrich. Oh, they bend over backwards to slam you for your cloth mask, but bend over forward and do some sit-ups? That's unacceptable. In the early months of this epidemic, a few loudmouths like me mentioned this would be a good time to lose weight because it's a risk factor that you can manipulate. And we were accused of fat shaming. Yeah, something that used to be known as good advice is now offensive by people in the media who were later calling you a monster for not getting triple vaxxed. Meanwhile, they got COVID anyway. But when young patients died from COVID, the websites wouldn't run a picture, which is perfectly fine. Privacy matters. But it hid an unspeakable truth. Obesity influenced the outcome. Just as obesity increases non-COVID risk for diabetes, heart disease, stroke, sleep apnea, and also joint damage. Relax, Kat, not those joints. It's a drug reference.
Oh, shocking.
I know. All right. Now, according to the CDC, 61% of teens hospitalized for COVID-19 had severe obesity. And in general, people who are overweight are at much higher risk for death and severe disease from COVID. A new study from the CDC took a look at young people hospitalized for COVID-19 and found that healthy young people continue to evade the worst of the disease. Meaning if you're young and healthy, you should be living your normal life, which means going to work, having a beer with friends, sending me photos of you in public bathrooms when you're drunk. Those have really dropped off during the pandemic, and I'm the victim here. Meanwhile, another study finds that dropping the weight drops COVID risk. So instead of hiding inside like you're Joe Biden, you're better off taking a brisk walk around the block. Unless you live in Chicago. In that case, run. But this is a big untold story. Untold because even an acknowledgement of weight as a factor is seen as fat shaming. So then rather save a generation from a debilitating self-created comorbidity, we salute fashion magazines for letting the plus size grace their covers. Or we champion the clinically obese for being body positive. We actively cheer on something that may be as bad as smoking, pretending it's a fun, flirty lifestyle choice. Because this country is mentally and emotionally softer than a tube sock full of pudding. Sounds good. Heaven forbid our doctors point out the obvious thing that could kill you.
And what seems to be the problem?
Oh, Doc, I've been having these terrible headaches. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I'm drinking too much coffee or not sleeping enough. I mean, I also been hitting myself in the head repeatedly with this wooden hammer I found, but
Wait,
something's up.
hold on. What was that last one?
Oh, I forgot to mention my wife and I have been doing this Pilates thing. I don't even understand.
No. The headaches you're getting are from the hammer.
Whoa, okay, first of all, that is hammerphobic. The hammer has nothing to do with my headaches, and I'm offended that you even brought it up. Are we in the Soviet Union? What is going on here? All right. Does MD stand for major?
But really, this is about health. It's not about appearance. How attractive you feel is up to you, with obvious helpful input from any construction workers. According to the welders on 49th and 6th, I'm knocking it out of the park. Look, the obesity epidemic has been a threat to American health for decades, and a lot of it is our own government's fault. If the carb-rich nutritional pyramid of old was designed to shape all of us like pyramids, it worked. Meanwhile, we target people in peak physical conditioning for making the decision not to get vaxxed. These are people from pro athletes to Navy SEALs, spent their entire lives focused on physical fitness. And yet an overweight news anchor can pass judgment on them in between inhaling ring dings and fun-sized Snickers. Their most reliable source is Grubhub. Look, before the pandemic, I weighed a lot more than I do now. Real picture. To be fair, most of it was baby fat. I just love eating those babies. But when I looked at my risks, I realized I could do something. So I stopped mainlining sugar and started exercising more. Bottom line, COVID stress tested our country in every facet of our lives. We learned a lot about our physical and mental health, our limits, but also about how pointless it is to trust the government. Instead, you can trust yourself. And if there's anything we should exploit, it's the things that we can control. And that's diet and fitness, and in Kat's case, hygiene.
Period.
Yes, let's welcome tonight's guest to this roaring audience. Yes, his leather jacket says 80s cool, but his haircut says 70s bass player. Reason editor-at-large Nick Gillespie. Yeah, so cool. He sees more royalties than a party on Epstein's Island. TV writer and producer Rob Long. Audiences hang on his every word. Yes, they commit suicide to avoid listening to him. Writer and comedian Joe DeVito. And she's like the Times Square sidewalk on New Year's Day. Cold, hard, and caked with vomit. Fox News contributor Kat Tim. So this is day 2, Rob, in the no audience Gutfeld show.
Right.
Yeah, how do you feel? Everything okay?
I think it's good for me. I'm not sure about you.
Why? You think I'm falling apart?
I think even when the audience isn't here, you still need to try.
Yes. So you've noticed I've given up.
Yeah, those are your words. I've just noticed that you're very comfortable.
Yes. Yeah. If I don't have eyeballs on me, I don't care.
Yeah, you don't care.
It's like I don't even when I have the curtains drawn. You should see what I do.
Are you even there?
Yeah. I don't know.
Who am I?
I
Yeah.
saw you in the green room, and the first thing I said to you was what? I said you dropped some weight.
Yeah.
How much have you lost?
I don't really know. I mean, like I lost some and I gained. Here's the truth. I lost some during the initial COVID thing, just because I was eating at home.
Yes.
And then I gained some back when COVID was over. Remember when it was over recently?
Right. Yeah.
And then I got COVID in December 2020. OG COVID, not the diet COVID everybody's so proud of. I got the real COVID.
Right.
Not the COVID light or whatever.
Yeah, Omicron.
And then I'm back to like eating at home and eating normally, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's a great story.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I learned nothing from that, other than that you were like a victim in a turtleneck.
That's pretty much it.
Yes.
You got it.
Nick, you're svelte. Do you have any kind of, like, I don't believe in goals. It's an old Scott Adams line. You have to have a system in order to stay thin. I bet you have a system because you have never changed. Your hair, your jacket, your long, sleek body, toned, muscular.
My feelings towards you,
Yes.
which I keep hidden.
Yeah, no, not anymore.
I think amphetamines
Yes.
are pretty much, every jacket I have, I just reach in the pockets and there's amphetamines.
Do you think, I mean, this is an area where you can shame the media, because if they had actually reported the heightened risk of obesity, it might be a good thing, but they don't want to do it.
No, and neither did the government. And, that is one of the things that's frustrating to me about all of the COVID stuff is it's taking whatever trust and confidence was left in any of these things down to zero. And that's a bad country to live in when you can't trust the media, when you can't trust the government.
I think it's good not to trust anybody, not even you.
That's why you're in a room alone without an audience.
That's true.
We're not even here, Greg. We're just in your head.
If only that were true. Joe, I marvel at the abundance of food in America, and the best measurement is like when we were kids, because you and I are roughly the same age, early 40s.
Close enough.
When we used to go to a gas station, there was just a row of like Snicker bars and some mints.
Yes,
and
covered
now,
with dust.
Yeah, covered with dust. Now, like a convenience store writ large, it's massive. It's massive. It's like, it's not our fault. We're fighting a war against our own abundance.
We've been too successful, and I think the problem was when we stopped talking about health and started talking about wellness.
Yes.
Because wellness is, you ask, well, is it healthy? And, well, it pretty much tells people keep doing whatever it is you like to do, which is not really what the foundation of health. Health, you know, the human body's designed to use food for fuel and to move around and do stuff like that. And they really took that away from us. They kept McDonald's open, but they closed the gyms. They chased you out of the park.
Right.
Because they want us to be fat, sick, unhealthy, tired, all these things, because when you surrender control of your body, that means the people who are in charge get a little bit more control of what they can tell you to do and how you can feel, and that is not good.
It's like the final scene of the Time Machine, right? Where they're just all blobs being chased out of a park, like me. That brought back memories.
But for different reasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were chased out of the park by villagers.
It's very, and it's hard to run away when you're wearing a leash. Connected to, well, anyway. Kat, you're a libertarian.
Yes.
This is this should speak to you, because these are like a libertarian. You want to be able to control the variables in your life without the government intervening. It isn't proper health and nutrition the right way to go.
I'm all about proper health and nutrition.
You don't even eat, do you?
No, sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, I do sometimes. I mean, but also, like, when I had my second COVID,
Yes.
I was only sick for 12 hours, and that's probably because I have the body of a 9-year-old. So it didn't affect me that much. But it's not like, there's this idea that it's fat shaming to point out reality, but it's not. Shaming is saying, like, you're a piece of as a human being.
Right.
Like, no, when people talk about age shaming, nobody means if you say,
Why are you looking at me?
This 90-year-old is maybe closer to death than this 12-year-old. That's not shaming, and it's the same thing with this.
You know, the other thing, though, about all of this is that when we're talking about kids especially, it's something like 600 kids in America under the age of 18 or 19 died of COVID.
Right, right.
And somehow they are the ones paying all of the costs, including now being called fatties.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this is another thing that's hollowed out any trust or confidence. That why have we forced kids to pay for a disease, pay the biggest cost for a disease that harms them the least?
Well,
even the fat ones.
We have to move on, but I'd say that maybe this is payback for the greatest generation fighting the Nazis so those kids could be born.
Okay.
What are you really mad at?
I don't know.
Who are you really mad at?
I just felt like yelling.
Are you mad at
what you
Tom
need?
Hanks?
What? What you need?
What?
A donut.
Yes, I do. I love sugar.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.